Is this a soup or a cake?
Welcome to another episode of Chewing the Fat. I'm your host, Big Rob. Thank you so much for tuning in, downloading the podcast. I certainly do appreciate that. And to the folks that have bought me a coffee at chewingthefatbr.com, thank you for your support, as well as the folks that have just liked the posts and rated the podcast and given reviews. It really does help more people find the podcast so that we can continue to tell these beautiful, messy human stories. Right now, I'm super kind of fanboying a little bit for my guest this week. He is my favorite YouTube food historian. Please welcome from Los Angeles, Max Miller. Max.
Thank you so much for having me. I love it.
How are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Just, trying to beat the heat. It's hot out right now.
Yeah. What are you guys up to in LA today?
In my area, I think it's probably 95 or so.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's almost like Georgia heat where I am. So that's
without the humidity. I was in Tennessee earlier this week and it was hellacious.
Yeah.
I can't do that humidity. We were in the Smoky Mountains and I was like, I'm going to go on a walk.
Yeah.
And I think I got about 50 feet before I turned around and went back to the air conditioning room. And I looked out at the Smoky Mountains.
They're so beautiful from here. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, it's different when you have to kind of slice off a piece of air just to be able to breathe,
it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Well, that's awesome that you're traveling a lot. You do travel a lot.
I do.
For folks that may not be familiar, Max has an amazing YouTube channel called Tasting History. You get recipes, ancient recipes, and I say ancient, I mean some of them could be just early as school food lunch recipes and things like that, and you recreate them, but more than just recreating the recipes, you also give the history of where they came from, the time period they're in, and I just find it so fascinating to do that. And you're in Los Angeles. Is Los Angeles home for you? Was that born and raised?
No, I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
All of my family is still there, so I'm back there pretty much every month. Though during the summer, I try to get them to come out here. Or we all met in Alaska this last month for a cruise because going to Phoenix at this time of year is just silly. Why would you do that?
I mean, 115 degrees in the shade. I mean, why done it? Yeah. So were you always? Were you a history buff when you were growing up?
Yeah, I was always a lover of history pretty much since I can remember. My mother was a teacher, not a history teacher, but she taught humanities, and humanities is history. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of history through the lens of art and culture and everything. And I loved listening to my grandmother and my grandfather tell stories about their time during the Depression and during World War II. So, to a little kid, that's about as historical as you can get, way back 50 years ago at that time. I just grew up seeing history as stories and not as history.
Yeah, not as like the construct of I'm in a class and I'm having to learn this or whatever. It's just, no, this is grandma and grandpa and I love them and they're spending time with me and telling me about these crazy things that I couldn't imagine. Yeah, no, I love that.
And they were good storytellers. And I think that's the whole thing. We've all had, and it's not just history, but we've all had teachers who are good storytellers.
Yeah.
And whether it's history or civics or science, if you're a good storyteller, you can make it interesting. And they were very good storytellers.
That's awesome. Is that kind of what also inspired you? So because you weren't just a fan of history, what did you do? You're in LA. I assume you're an actor as well. I think I've seen some of your posts.
Back in the day
that you've done some theater and some acting and different things like that. Was that what you were passionate about growing up in Phoenix?
Yeah. I grew up singing.
Hmm.
And that's what my degree from college is in, was singing, but it was always most of the music that I loved, unless it was very early music like Baroque and Renaissance music,
Oh, wow.
was always theater,
Hmm.
musical theater,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which again, it's all about telling stories.
Yeah.
And so that was the way that really since third, third or fourth grade, I knew that was kind of what I was going to
Wow.
do. And that's what I went to school for, specifically music, but I studied theater as well. And then
Mm-hmm.
I moved to New York and was there for 8 years working in theater, before I moved out here. Yeah.
That's awesome. Um, so if you grew up singing, and you have these great storyteller grandparents, so your family was very into that type of stuff as well. Were you a musical family? Was it kind of we sing in church type thing?
No, we weren't churchgoers.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the Phoenix Boys Choir.
Okay. Yeah.
Was really, and I took piano lessons, and I was very musical. My family was not particularly musical.
Mm.
It's not that they weren't. It's just that none of them were. It wasn't like anyone was a professional musician or anything.
Mm-hmm.
However, my entire family is very into music,
Mm.
not necessarily making it, but listening to it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was always music in my house growing up of all different kinds. My father especially has a wide range of taste when it comes to music.
Mm.
So one day we would be listening to, Led Zeppelin. The next day was Bach. The next day was Japanese koto music,
Wow.
and everything in between, jazz. And so I was really introduced to just a lot of different styles. And that's kind of, I mean, if you look at my iPod, like I have an iPod today, but if I had an iPod on my cell phone, you'd be like, well, that's just a really weird assortment of music. It's everything. Yeah.
But I mean, I think having a wide musical taste is also indicative of like travel when you can't actually go someplace.
Exactly.
You're
Yeah.
experiencing cultures, you're experiencing things that universal language of music that you can't maybe necessarily get to from where you are at that moment, but you can still experience those things because it's what are the people singing about? What are the songs of this genre? What are the songs of these people? It's transportive and transformative as well.
Yep. And I mean, I think that is it, with contemporary music, it can transport you all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But with music through history, it can transport you to other places. I can't remember now who said it, but the quote is, "The past is a foreign country." I believe, and it's so true. I mean, it just as foreign as, let's say, Jordan is to me, so is the year 1850.
Right.
And so music would, I mean, I've always, when I listen to jazz, I'm put back into that area. When I listen to Leonin and Periton, I'm all of a sudden in, I think it's 14th century France,
Yeah.
And kind of it spurns, even today, when I'm writing an episode and doing research, I very often listen to music somehow associated with whatever period I'm listening or I'm researching and stuff. And it's just like it puts you in the mood.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, giving that whole picture of like, okay, if I'm recreating this, whatever it is, whether it be, was it the Salisbury steak, I believe is what you did this past week.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at that and looking of like, moving it through history and, war rations and things like that, it's like, well, what was the music they were listening to at that time that were moving through? Because again, the music brings people together. Also food brings people together too.
Yeah.
When you experience a culture through its food. So I absolutely love what you do as far as like connecting those dots through your through your episodes of Tasting History. So we're out of college. You're in New York. Was that the plan? Like, I'm going to be Broadway. I'm gonna do theater. Or I'm going to do something like that. Or
yeah, I wanted to do musical theater, and I did. But I realized that I hate auditioning.
Yeah.
So much. I hate it. I thought, well, once I do it for a few years, I'll get more comfortable. No, never did. And I also hated being poor, because even, with theater or any of the arts, you, even if you make good money for a little while and you're in a show, usually you're not making good money, even if you're in a show, but those shows end. And then, you kind of have to start from the ground every single time. I do have a few friends who are lucky enough to either hit big, long running shows. It's like, oh yeah, did 15 years in Phantom of the Opera, bought 2 houses in Jersey or whatever. Or those people who just are going from job to job to job to job. That was never me. I worked a lot, but I didn't work all the time. And so it was rough. Now in your 20s, it's fun.
Yeah.
But by the time I was about 30, I was like, I need something different. So I ended up moving out to LA to do voiceover. Because I wanted to just have something different. But again, I mean, it was the same kind of thing. Still auditioning, still in insecurity. So after a while, I got a temp job at Walt Disney Studios, which soon turned into a permanent job at Walt Disney Studios. And I realized that I loved it so much. And I was like, well, I'm just as happy, if not happier, doing this. So that I ended up working in marketing.
Nice. Yeah, as a voice actor myself, I understand exactly what you're talking about. It's every day is an audition, and every day is you and how many other names are on that list that are getting 3 seconds to impress people. With their,
exactly.
and do it several times a day.
Yep.
So the marketing at Disney. Was that then? You're doing theater. Obviously you understand the not just tech, but the premise of presentation. How to look on camera, how to light, how to run sound, things like that. Because you just kind of, from doing it, you kind of pick a lot of that stuff up because your friends and the people you see every day are the people that are doing all that stuff. So it's kind of via osmosis, you kind of pick that up, being in the atmosphere of it. Where was the change moving from Disney, and then because now maybe I'm making a wrong assumption here, and maybe Disney wasn't the stop before COVID shut everything down, and you decided to create your own channel. But at what point were you at when you're like, you know what? This is on me. This is something I've wanted to do for a while. Let's see how this goes. And you created Tasting History.
So what happened was, while I was at Disney in marketing, I bounced around to a few different positions. And one of those positions was rough. It was very demanding. It was very difficult. And it took all of my time and energy. I was working 70, 80 hours a week. Wow. And I was very unhappy. And I realized that what I was missing, besides time to enjoy my life, was creativity for me.
Right.
I was being creative for the mouse.
Yeah.
And I realized I need to be creative for me. And now what that creative thing was, I wasn't entirely sure. I decided that I wanted to write a novel, actually. Because again, I like telling stories. And so I was like, I want to do this. It had been something I'd thought about for a while. And so I changed jobs, taking a sizable pay cut, actually, because I moved into a job that was very much 9 to 5. And at 5:01, you're done, and you're not working again until, it was just much less stress. And so I started working on this novel. But then I also thought, you know what? Now that I took this huge pay cut, I need to. I didn't think this through. I need to make a little bit more money. So it's either work in Uber or maybe I could start a YouTube channel and make a couple extra $100 a month. Growing on YouTube is very difficult, and monetizing and everything is very difficult, but I didn't really know that. So I decided to do that at the end of 2019, and I had no idea what I wanted it to be about. No idea at all. But I had fallen in love with baking several years earlier, and I would bring in baked goods to work, and I would tell my coworkers about the history of the baked good, because that was one of the things that I liked doing, was baking stuff from older recipes. And so at the Christmas party in 2019, one of my coworkers, we were talking, and I was like, I want to do a YouTube channel, but I don't know what to do. And she said, what you do for us every Monday, put that online. And so I gave myself a time horizon. I said, all right, I got 60 days. I'm going to do this in 60 days. And so I have to have my first video come out by the last week of February. And my first video came out, I think it was on February 23rd. Wow. And 2 weeks later, COVID hit. And I was sent home because I was furloughed. And so it was, technically I started it just before COVID. And COVID just gave me the time to actually work on it. Because honestly, I wouldn't have kept it up if I was still working for Disney, because it takes a long time to put these videos together. And
because you have a very high production value to what you do. And kudos to you for that. And it's interesting to see those first episodes compared to your episodes now. But the storytelling is the common thread through all of it, whether the kitchen has changed and the camera angle and the microphone and the lights and all of that other stuff, and which Funko or Lego is on the back counter. But yeah, it takes a while to figure out what you want it to be too. You're like, all right, I've got this goal, 60 days. I want to put this up. Okay. What do I want this to continue to be? And it's, again, I'm going to say it several times throughout this. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to watch, because it is educational and it is so entertaining as well. So you're there now. You've got time. It's COVID. You're like, well, pull out the cookbooks. Let's start rolling through these. Yeah.
So originally, when the channel started, it was actually just supposed to be medieval recipes. That was my thought. And very quickly I realized, well, that's going to be a rather finite topic. And in the comments, people were like, do something Roman, do something Victorian. And I was like, okay, why not? I find all of that interesting. And so I started to branch out. And those early days, it was very difficult because getting ingredients during COVID, I mean, even just getting flour was tough, let alone, some of the off the wall ingredients that I need. I remember the first time that I decided to make hippocras, I needed grains of paradise. And today you can get it off of Amazon. At that time, I had to look up farms that grew this, and they're in Africa. And I reached out and said, hi, I know you don't sell on Amazon, but is there any way I can buy it and have it sent to me? And like, it took like 6 weeks to get, but I got
Wow.
Grains of Paris. Now you can just go on Amazon or, you know, Penzies or all of these other spice websites to get it. But yeah, and the audience was there partly because they had to be, because everyone had to be at home watching TV and YouTube. So it grew pretty rapidly. We especially after, you know, about 4 months in, it was June, so it was about 4 months. I put out a video about an ancient Roman fish sauce called garum, and that video just took off. You know, my videos had been getting a few thousand views. I had like 10,000 subscribers, which was already more than I thought I would get in the first year. That had beat my goal, and I got that in just a few months. And then this video comes out, and within a week, we're up to 150,000 subscribers, and it just kept growing from there. So I knew that I had to kind of hit on something. So yeah.
Well, and the process of, and you've done garum a couple of times now. You did the first one, and then you've done the new and improved. I don't know if it's improved or not, but it
is improved. It is improved.
The more pungent
definitely more labor intensive.
Yeah, several month long version.
Yes.
No, that's great. So at that point, were you working remotely still for the Mouse and trying to do this? Well, you said you'd got.
So I was furloughed.
You got furloughed, so they were like, "Oh, there's no way to do the work, so don't do the work." Yeah.
So at first, like for the first few weeks, I was working from home because at my new job at Disney was in distribution, so working directly with movie theaters. And as the theaters started to close and close close, you know, and it ended up being that there were a few theaters in, like, one in Idaho and one in, you know, Kansas or whatever, that was still open. This is like my only job, was talking to these two theaters. And eventually Disney said, we're only keeping one person basically, or two people out of a team of like 20, and they furloughed us. And the thing is, I was still getting my insurance. I was still getting, you know, there was like a weekly stipend, you know, unemployment basically. And my husband was working still because he was working on Disney Plus. So they were booming at the time.
Yeah.
So while my job disappeared, he ended up working more than ever. And so I kind of had to stay out of his way all the time, because he would work all day, every day, into the night. And so I was upstairs working on scripts and research and everything. And I wasn't, it was a year before, I think it was April of 2021, when Disney finally said, hey, it's time to come back. And I had to make a choice, because by that time I realized I can't do both, because the videos take anywhere from 35 to 50 hours a piece to make. Well, that's a full-time job.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, working that many hours is what I didn't want to do. So, you know, one of the jobs would suffer. And so I didn't want that. So I said, I'm not going to come back. And my boss at the time was a great guy. He said, it was my job to invite you back to Disney, but if you had said yes, I might have had to fire you for incompetence, because what you're doing is so much, you know, bigger, and you can't give this opportunity up. So he was great.
That's awesome.
We're still friends.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's hard sometimes to take that leap of faith, even though it had, by that time, I'm sure it had proven itself to you that, like, this is a thing, but it's still a leap of faith, because there's always that kind of safety net ish of clocking in, clocking out, a check coming every 2 weeks type of stuff that is hard when you have something creative, or you have that dream or that wild idea that you want to pursue. to rip that safety net out from underneath you and be like, all right, I'm gonna walk down this path, and the path is going to build itself as I continue to walk. If I don't continue to walk, the path will never arrive.
Yeah. No, honestly, even today, every day I'm like, this is the last day. This could be the last day, because there are just so many things that are out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
I can make videos. I can try to get better at making videos, but I can't make YouTube push those videos out.
Yeah.
I have zero control over the algorithm. I have zero control over people's tastes and changing tastes. And so every day I'm like, this could be it.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, so good. Knock on wood. Still going.
Has that process of marketing the show, I'm going to call it the show, marketing the show, changed because of that, from it being kind of, oh, it's organic, fine, to like, all right, well, I know if I do some clips or some shorts or some reels and post those around, I'll get a little bit more engagement, more people to watch. You know, it's someone who creates myself, sometimes it's hard to do that part of it because it feels anti what you want to do. You know, it's kind of the dirty part of being the creative. It's like, well, I want to be creative and I want you to enjoy it, but I don't want to have to tell you, hey, I'm being creative. Look at me.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I do make reels and shorts and everything, but they're all still just cuts of my, longer video essentially. And it doesn't really market the show all that well at all. I've found that shorts and long form, it's like one audience watches one audience watches another, and there's very little overlap. Literally like less than 5% of an overlap between the two audiences. So it's basically just like making two versions of the show, just for two different types of viewer. And yeah, no, I don't. The only way I know to market this show is to make another video.
Yeah. Because
YouTube does such a good job they're the marketing team. They will push your video out. If it's good, they'll push it out. And sometimes even if it's not good. Yeah, that's the best piece of marketing that I can do.
Yeah. Make
another video.
Yeah. Yeah. And that consistency, there's something, especially, during lockdown, during COVID, everybody was looking for entertainment. Everybody was feeling separated. There was something about the consistency of, hey, every Tuesday, I've got this thing that I can watch. I've got my friend making some cool recipes, from history, and I learn a little something too. And there were a lot of creators that came about during that time because that's what the world craved. They were isolated and they were looking for a way to reconnect with people in a way that we couldn't physically. So everyone turned to entertainment of some sort, whether it be Disney Plus, whether it be tasting history on YouTube,
Yep.
You've here recently put out a couple of episodes where you talk about your favorite dishes and also the absolute worst dishes that you have made. Do you have a favorite episode that you've made? It may not have ended up being the perfect dish or whatever, but it was just so much fun to create because maybe you tried a different process or threw some different, even visual elements or something into the episode. Is there a favorite episode you love?
Yeah, I think definitely one of them is the entire Titanic series, but the third class Titanic video. It was the first one that I did. And it was the first time that I had, I looked for video of, because usually my images are static images, but I found video for it. And it took on a different type of storytelling than my previous episodes. Its success, rather, gave me permission to tell stories that are not directly food related. Because yes, I talk about what food was eaten on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But most of those videos, or at least a good third of them, are actually just retellings of the experience of people going through the sinking.
Mm-hmm.
So like in the third class video, I recount that experience through a third class point of view using, real people's recollections.
Mm-hmm.
And the second class is through their view, and the first class, et cetera. So, and people love that. And so I was like, well, it doesn't really have anything to do with food, but people enjoyed it. And so maybe it's okay to make videos where, yeah, I'm making a historic dish, but the history is much more just tangential to the food. And so now I allow myself to do that more often. And it doesn't seem that people mind, because it's like a good story is a good story.
Absolutely. And like I said, it's still educational. It's still, yes, and the food is there as kind of the, the punctuation at the end of it is like, here's
now we're going to taste it.
Now we're going to taste it. Here's what we had.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And seeing as we've asked that, what is your absolute, the episode that was the bane of your existence?
I don't know. There have been some that were frustrating. I think the most frustrating episode, even though I really enjoy it, especially once it was done, and yet it didn't do very well, which always bums me out. It was a video on what foods were served at tournaments during the Middle Ages. And I made a large pie that was meant to be served at medieval tournaments. And it looks like a castle. And I am not great with dough. And so getting this thing to even sort of look like a castle was a bit of a nightmare. I had to restart a few times. Whenever I have to restart a recipe, it's always a nightmare. And this was definitely one of the most difficult, one of the trickiest things that I've made. And so, when I pressed upload, I was like, thank God, get that off my desk. I never want to think about this again. And then I think about it all the time.
But that's, I mean, you were, as a creative, you were invested in the end product, and you wanted it to be good. And plus with the time, when you're cooking takes time, because we don't just eat raw food, and a lot of recipes have multiple components and this, that, and the other, especially if you're trying to sculpt a castle out of dough. I can only imagine the frustration of like, and then you've got to start over, so now you've lost time. Now you talk about working 50, 60 hours a week on a project. It's like, this is going to be a 55, to 70 hour a week because of this.
Well, and when it comes to cooking on camera, so a dish that, I'll make a dish and it takes on camera, it only appears for I'm cooking for maybe like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. In actuality, it would probably take me an hour to make, 45 minutes to an hour to make.
Yeah.
When you're filming it, that's a 6 to 8 hour period.
Yeah.
Moving the cameras, taking multiple shots, laying out the ingredients in a certain way. It takes a lot longer to film cooking than it does actually cooking something.
Do you usually cook hero versions as well as tasting versions? Like, do you do multiples at the same time? Because I know in a lot of cooking television shows, that's what they'll do. They'll have a hero one that's already done, and they can pull out and, hey, here it is. And then
they have multiple people behind the camera. Right. That's why.
Yeah, multiple.
When you're a one person thing, no. So typically, and this is kind of the goal of the show, is to try to replicate the recipe based on what the recipe says. And so in doing so, there's a lot of research before I get into the kitchen on trying to figure out, okay, what is this recipe trying to tell me? Later recipes, it's easy because they're well written, but the further back you go, it's like, is this a soup or a cake? Right. Honestly, you can't tell because it's just a list of ingredients.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of research trying to figure that out, looking at other recipes from the time, looking at other recipes that I've done, looking at modern versions, other recipes within the same cookbook. But then once I actually am making it, I make it once, and that's what I taste on camera.
Wow.
The only time that I will make something twice is if, one, the end product turned out to be completely different from what I know it's supposed to be. Like if I know it's supposed to be a cake and I end up with, raw batter,
Right.
well, that's okay. I'm going to redo it because in that case, the recipe has let me down in some way, which happens all the time. And I wasn't able to figure out that it was going to let me down before I made it.
Gotcha.
Usually I can figure out that where it's going to let me down and fix that before it happens.
Yeah.
Or when I have screwed something up in the process. And so now it is not the recipe's fault. It's my technique's fault. If I just didn't realize that if I left out an ingredient or if I didn't mix the batter properly or whatever it is, then I will remake it a second time because I do want it to be, like I said, the goal is to try to recreate what the cookbook author had in mind. And so, yeah, but that is rare. I can probably count on my 10 fingers and not use all of them how many times I've had to make something twice.
Yeah, I love that. And along with the cooking, you also have drinks that you explore as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got a side channel with your husband as well, Catch Up.
Yeah, it's just kind of like some behind the scenes stuff. What's going on in our life? What's a little information about the cats occasionally?
Yeah. So just something that's a little. I liken it to just sitting around having a cup of coffee, kind of like we're doing, and just kind of chit-chatting about what's going on and what the process of this, that, or the other was.
Yeah. And that is his project. He started it during COVID. He was like, I want to do this. And I was like, all right. So that is his project. And so I never push him to make a video or upload. So it's a very inconsistent upload schedule. And it's just kind of when he has time, we'll do an episode. So yeah.
Now the show itself, it seems like it has given you the ability to travel more for research and just for being able to spend time in other places with your family and stuff like that as well. Yeah. What's been one of the favorite because you also did you get to the World Cup? Did I just see you went to the World Cup as well?
Yeah.
So what's been one of the favorite things that has happened because of tasting history for you and your family?
So, I mean, the World Cup was pretty cool. And that was directly, I was invited by YouTube. So that was very cool because I would have never thought to go, honestly. Definitely would have never paid to go. So that was very cool. I do think that some of the experiences that I've enjoyed the most is I've started leading river cruises filled with fans. We book either half the ship or a whole ship, and these ships are small. They're only like 100 people. So, and then we go down the Nile or the Danube and just geek out about it's mostly history, but then a lot of food and culture and everything like that. And they're wonderful experiences. One, it's an opportunity to travel, but two, it's an opportunity to get to meet the people who watch the show because it's a very isolating job. I'm here in my office or in my kitchen all day, every day, pretty much. I very rarely leave the house unless I'm going to travel. Like the only time I leave the house is to go to the airport, And so even though there are maybe 1 million people that are watching a video, I don't know any of them except for my mom. And so getting to meet 50 people who watch the videos, who know them so well and everything, and have the same love for it as I do, that 50 people means more in a way than the 1 million people.
Yeah.
Because the 1 million people are just a number on a screen.
Right.
Whereas actually meeting the people and getting to know them is a very different experience.
Yeah. I think as I looked before we started the interview, I think you're almost at 4.5 million subscribers on YouTube, and you've got over almost 900 million views across all of your videos and stuff like that. That's one of those numbers that seem like that can't be real, because again, it's like I can't meet all of those people. We can't all get together and have coffee at one time, but it's you making the show, making an impact on people and having them interested in it. It becomes, like you said, that one-sided relationship where it's like they know you don't know them. So the opportunity you have to actually get to know some of the people that appreciate what you do, or just have a passion for the history and the cooking and stuff like that. It's kind of like that breath of fresh air, that kind of like, okay, all right, cool. I'm not the crazy one in the studio by myself.
Yeah, exactly.
There are other people out there that appreciate this as well. Yeah. I love that. Is there anything that you're expecting and looking forward to before the end of the year with the show? Anything new and exciting you've got planned? Do you plan your episodes out way in advance, or is it kind of as things pique your interest? And I say that question partially because you just did some Odyssey Foods. Yeah. Which obviously that's a big movie release. So there's nothing wrong with kind of tying into some of that food of that time period. But for the coming year, is there something that you're looking forward to planning out?
So I plan out my videos, and then I almost never stick to that plan. Because, like you said, it's really what actually piques my interest at that time. So, I'll write down, these are the next 20 videos that I want to make, but then I actually get to making one of those and I'm like, well, I'm not interested in that right now. Mm-hmm. And so it goes with the back of the line. So, out of the next 20 videos that I have planned, maybe 4 of them will actually end up being what's made. And the others are whatever interests me at that moment. So I just started a World War II series. I am looking forward to working on that, mainly because I've used it as an excuse to buy the canteens and plates and all this stuff of the German Wehrmacht and the Japanese army and the British army of World War II, for the images, for the pictures, for the thumbnail. And so it's just cool to get to see that kind of stuff and hold it in real life and be like, oh my God, this is truly history in my hands. Yeah. Thank you, eBay. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. I won't really do more than probably one a month, if that. So it'll last for the next 6-8 months or so. Yeah. I'm really, really excited about a video that I just finished editing. It was the one actually that was rendering today, because it's about literally my favorite topic in the entire world, which is the Norman invasion of 1066. I am obsessed with that topic. In fact, the novel that I started to write was about that. Wow. And I wanted to do a video about it for a long time. And finally I did, partly because the Bayeux Tapestry is going to England, or just arrived in England for the first time in nearly a millennia. So I was like, well, that's good timing. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, whatever I'm excited about is the video that I'm working on at that moment.
I love that, though.
And I'm super excited about whatever video I'm working on, because I need to be, because I'm going to be with it for the next 60 hours or so.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's your thing. It's your thing too. There is just something magical when you are working on something for yourself, for your creativity, your vision, and getting it out of you and putting it into the world, whether it be a video, writing a song, writing a book, or whatever it is, to have that thing that's inside you and be able to actually express it and get it out. There's just something that is not like that anywhere else in the world.
And then what's crazy is once you do get it out, you're kind of done.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I am. Like once I finish a video, I almost never give it another thought.
Because there's the next one.
Because there's the next one. I'm like, well, I'm not excited about that anymore. I'm excited about this one. Which is kind of the way that why I like the way that I've structured the show is because every week is so different. I'm not talking about the same topic at all. I bounce around from, medieval Europe to feudal Japan to the 1930s, I just bounce around because
you're the Doc Brown of food history.
There we go.
I love it. Max, aside from what you're working on now, what is bringing you joy?
My cats is a big thing. They're my best friends.
Names?
Ollie, Milo, and Cersei. Cersei's a bit of a grump, so I only see her at mealtime and at night. Milo and Ollie are just they're my companions throughout the day. I had to close the door, otherwise they'd be up here ruining stuff. And I never stop them. They bring me joy. Playing games with my friends. I'm a big board gamer. And so I have a few friends who we try every week. It doesn't happen. I'd say every 2 or 3 weeks we get together, play board games, and it's just great. And seeing my family. Like I said, I try to go home at least once a month, sometimes more. Being with my family brings me great joy.
I love that.
And Lego. It's a different kind of joy, but it's a diversion. Love putting together Lego every day, pretty much, at least for half an hour.
I am a huge fan of Lego myself, so I definitely understand that. There's something about the focus of working on Lego and the outcome and seeing whatever the model is. I'm big in the architecture stuff.
Yes, those are my favorites.
I love those because I don't know. Like you said, it's just something you're creating this 3-dimensional piece of art that also has its own kind of version of history to it because it's either from a movie that meant something to you or a place that you've been or want to go or things like that. No, I love that.
I also like it because you're using your brain still, but it is a completely different part of my brain than what I use to make tasting history. Because it's following instructions. It's just following instructions, and you can I can turn off the almost like creative on me part of my brain, and I'm relying more on the creativity of who designed that model. And so it's just like a different muscle that gets to be used, and rests my other muscles.
All right, Max, this is the second segment of the show. This is where we dive a little bit deeper into your mental health journey. I definitely believe the more we can talk about the things that kind of give us those down, dark days, the easier it is for us all to get through them. So for you, how do you keep the darkness at bay?
I think my husband helps me a lot. I tend to worry a lot about the future. The future of the channel, the future of finances, the future of my health. I'm always kind of worrying, what's going to happen in 20 years? And he's much better at not thinking ahead that far, kind of keeps me present, I guess. And also he's very good at kind of being like, what's going to happen is going to happen. And you're worrying about things that you can't control. So worry about the things that you can control. Take a break. Yeah, I don't struggle as much as I used to. There was a period of time where it was actually after I gave up performing for a living that I, felt like I had failed.
Yeah.
That I was a disappointment to who I don't know, but that I was a disappointment. And it took me a long time to realize it's not failure. There's, you chose something different. And there's one thing, it's one thing to give up on something because it's hard. And it's another thing to give up on something because it's not making you happy.
Yes.
We don't need to keep pursuing something that's not making us happy just for the sake of pursuing it. Because even when I was successful, it wasn't making me happy. So then it's like, well, why am I doing this? But it took a long time to kind of figure that out. And I don't know that there was something that necessarily that I did that helped me figure that out as much as just time and distance. And finding other things that did make me happy. I loved working at Disney. I never thought I would like working in a corporate environment, and I did. I loved the people that I worked with. It was an exciting place to work. And then of course now I really love what I do now. Because I think very often we get stuck on like, well, I'm supposed to do this, and this is what's going to make me happy. But actually, it's something in there that will make you happy, and trying to figure out what that is. And I thought what was going to make me happy was performing on stage and having people applaud. And it turns out what makes me happy is being creative and telling stories, even if those stories are to myself. Or to my poor cat, who I do talk to throughout the day, my first sounding board for anything. And so it took a long time to figure out exactly, okay, it's not actually acting. It's part of that I love. And so I just need to do that part of it. And I'm very fortunate that, today with YouTube and everything, you can do that without the permissions that you needed to have in the past. There was a time, with acting, there are so many gatekeepers there that you have to get by, that you have to get permission to do what you love, and at least make to make a living at it, at least. And today you don't need that in the same way. Obviously the level of success is determined by things that are out of your control, but there's nobody stopping you from putting something together and putting it online to have people watch, or self-publishing a book or whatever it is.
In the access to the technology that we have now, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do with the camera on your phone without having to invest. Well, I want to say without having to invest thousands of dollars. The phones cost thousands of dollars, but
a camera used to cost tens of thousands of dollars.
Yes, exactly.
So
that was just for the camera, that needed special lights that had to, there was all this other stuff too. So
it's very much more accessible. Still very expensive, but nothing like what it used to be. I also think that one reason I keep my travel schedule pretty busy is because I do try to kind of unplug when I travel. I don't make episodes. I do research, but that's what I love doing. And I get inspiration for doing episodes, but I no longer make episodes when I'm traveling for the most part because, that's my time to kind of recharge.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important thing, because there have been times where it's like I'm just making episodes and just working on the next one, and now I'm not actually having fun. And you got to step away for a couple of weeks, and then when you come back, it's like it's brand new.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important, because it's something that you love. Even within something that you love, there can be that part that you never want it to become bitter in your mouth. You never want to be like, oh, I got to do this other thing. Now it's become a slog. And now you're like, you've lost the love of doing the thing, made you lose the love of the thing you love doing.
Exactly.
You know? And so you have to be able to step away from it and be okay stepping away from it. Because, that's one of those things, like you said, when you stepped away from acting, you can feel like, oh, you get this dread of like, well, will they accept me back if I didn't put out an episode this week, I put it out in 2 weeks, or, it's like, what's going to happen? It's like, well, you have to give yourself that permission to rest. There's nothing wrong with that.
I will say I've never missed an upload.
Well,
I've never missed a Tuesday because of that fear. So when I do travel, the weeks leading up can be extremely stressful because I'm making multiple videos to bank them. So yes, there is that. There is that too.
Well, and I'll say this just as creator to creator. When I started the podcast, and it was going to be every week. I'm going to put an episode every week, every Thursday. It's going to be a new episode. And then life started happening.
Yeah.
And I had to, it was a friend of mine who's like, look, what you have to say is important. What your guests have to say is important. The people that need to hear it may not hear it the week you put it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I say this often. It's like your biggest fans have not found you yet.
Yeah.
Because then it's like you're going to find somebody, oh, I found this channel, and you've been doing it since 2020. And they're like, oh my gosh, have you seen this guy? It's
always new people.
Yeah. And then they're the ones that fall in love with what you're doing and continue on. So take some of the pressure off yourself, but when you have a certain personality, you're like, all right, this is what I do. And that's how I was, but I had to give myself the grace because I was getting burnt out. Again, stuff was becoming bitter at the thing that I loved doing. So I had to give myself grace to like, take a week off. When you start freaking out because for me, it's like I couldn't book a guest or somebody had something else going on.
Right.
And so I had to take the pressure off, and because I would do I'd do a short episode where it's like what I call bite-sized episodes, where it's like, it's just me talking about something.
So that's kind of what I've figured out over the years is I am better now, not always accurate, but I am better now at knowing how long an episode is going to take me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I am going to be going traveling, or when I am falling behind, I can pick certain topics that I'm like, I know that I can make this video in 25 hours instead of 40 hours. Unfortunately, so often I'll be like, there's not that much history there. I did a video recently on Welsh rarebit because I was like, well, that's going to be easy. It's literally just cheese on toast.
Yeah.
And there can't be that much history about Welsh rarebit. This will be a nice short 15-minute episode. I think it's like 25 minutes long or something like that. There was so much more. And that actually happens a lot because I love the research portion. That's my favorite part of the episode process. And so getting me to stop the research and find an end point is not easy.
Yeah. But again, because that's part of you. That's part of the magic. That's part of your creativity is finding that stuff and then sharing it. Just the joy you have in sharing it. There's the smile you have right now talking about just the research part of it. Yeah. That's something that people may not get. That's the fun part for you. The recording and stuff.
People are always saying, are you looking for a researcher? Do you should offload some of this work? And I'm like, absolutely not. That's what I love. That's what I would be doing even if I wasn't making episodes.
Right.
I would still be reading all these books behind me,
Yeah.
And coming up with stories. And it would just be that I was telling those stories to my coworkers instead of making videos.
All right, Max, this is the third segment of the show. It's time now for the Fast Five. The Fast Five. It's time now for the Fast Five. Fast Five. Sorry, I'm still working on a theme song for this section of the podcast.
I love it. Loved it. Knocked it out of the park.
The Fast Five is powered by Poddex. It's an app created by my friend Travis Brown, and you can go to chewingthefatbr.com/Poddex, and it'll take you to a link. You can download it from your favorite app store. It's built for podcasters, but they're great icebreaker questions. No wrong answers, just the first thing that comes to the top of your head. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. If someone made a movie about your life, who would play you?
Oh, boy.
I often give this 2 parts. It's like, who would you want to play you, and who would actually book the gig?
Who would actually book the gig? Me remembering actors' names is not my strong suit. So it's like, oh, that guy who was in that one show. I feel like a young Will Forte would actually book the gig. And I do love Will Forte, but I often get that I look like Will Forte. Though, who would I want to do it? Because who do I want to be like is Jimmy Stewart. I mean, he's dead, so he's not going to get the job. But every character that Jimmy Stewart ever played, I'm like, that's what I want to be. That's, you know, I mean, Mr. Smith goes to Washington. I want to be him.
I love that, though. What a great answer. That's awesome. Question number 2. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Probably Bath, England. Yeah. If I could bring my family. That's always the problem. Yeah. You know, because it's too far to go see them every month. But that or on the north shore of one of the Hawaiian Islands.
Okay. Well, so what's special about Bath, England?
It's just there. It's a beautiful city. There's so much history. It's the perfect size of city. You're not that far from London. You can go to London for the weekend, but you don't have all of the hubbub of London. It's just one of the most charming places, I think, in the entire world.
That's awesome. Yeah, my oldest son lives in Cornwall.
Nice.
With his wife and my granddaughter. But they're about a 4-hour bus ride from London, so it is not. Yes. It is not a just every weekend heading to the big city type thing. But
yeah,
they do love it over there. It's a beautiful coastal area that they're in. So I love that. All right, question number 3. As a food person, hamburger or hot dog?
Hamburger.
Yeah. What's your go-to?
It's one of my favorite foods.
Yeah?
Hamburgers. That, pizza, ribs. Yeah.
Wow. What's your go-to burger build?
Cheddar cheese, lettuce, pickles, bread and butter pickles if they've got them, but nobody ever does got them. So I got to make that one. And then bacon and, you know, the secret sauce, which is usually just kind of like Thousand Island.
Right.
Or barbecue sauce.
That is a great burger. Yeah.
And I like a brioche bun.
Fancy. A little sweetness there to go with all the other savory that's in it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love bread and butter pickles. My wife hates them.
Really?
I
feel like they're candy. They're candy.
Yeah. But better, there's something more to them than like a gherkin. A sweet gherkin is just like too sweet gherkin-y.
Yeah. No. They're complicated flavor.
Yeah,
I love them.
That is awesome. Question number 4. If you could learn any language fluently, what would it be?
I think Spanish.
Okay.
I think it would be the most useful. And there a lot of the places I enjoy traveling to are Spanish speaking. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. And question number 5. If you could pick one lesson to give to someone that is new, wants to start an idea on YouTube or something like that, what would that be?
Think about what is not out there that you wish was out there. and then make it. That's what I kind of did with Tasting History. The way that I created it was kind of the way that I formatted it in my mind was the Great British Bake Off in the first few seasons used to always have a little history segment. It was like a 2 or 3 minute little segment about the history of one of the things that they were baking. And they got rid of that segment when Mary Berry and Mel and Sue left. And I missed that segment. Wow. And I thought it was one of the more charming aspects to the show. And it really lost something when the show lost something when they got rid of those. I heard it was because they didn't think they would do well in America, because it was getting bigger in America, but I don't know that. But that was kind of, I wanted more of that. And that was not really on YouTube in that format. Yeah. There was other food history stuff. There was a lot of other history content and everything, but that was not there. And so I did my best to recreate that in my own way. And so I think that there is something to be said about being inspired by things that you love, not copying them, but being inspired by multiple things to create something new. I mean, I think that there is nothing truly new. Everything is an amalgam of other things that, we put into our brain and shake it up and spit out something new. But if it's already out there, don't try to recreate Mr. Beast videos because Mr. Beast is successful. Don't try to recreate my videos because my videos are successful. Try to figure out something that isn't there yet and put your own spin on it and make that. It's harder. I'm not going to lie. It's harder than just copying somebody's already magic formula. But one, it's probably going to be more successful in the long run. And two, it will keep you more engaged. Yeah. And because it's your formula, only you can do it. Yeah. Even people who try to copy that formula, they won't be successful because it's not you. Yeah. Yeah. And if you truly created the idea in that way, in a specific way, then it can't be replicated.
I love that. What a great piece of advice. That's awesome. Well, that's our Fast Five, and that is the show, Max. Thank you so much for being here.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
If folks want to keep up with you, what is the absolute best way they can do that?
Watch me on YouTube, Tasting History, and Instagram is probably my most active kind of what I'm doing in my life account. So that's Tasting History with Max Miller on Instagram.
Awesome. I'll make sure I put those links in the show notes so that folks can find you. Max, I love you. I appreciate what you do. Please keep it up. And just, I wish you nothing but success with everything that you've got going on, man.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful getting to chat.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And if you would like to support this podcast, I'd appreciate it if you bought me a coffee at chewingthefatbr.com. But until next time, I look forward to the chance we have to sit a spell and chew the fat.